There I stood in front of the familiar, yet unfamiliar house. It didn't belong in my life, and yet, it did. I hesitated for a moment before stepping closer. Not fear exactly, just that quiet pressure in the back of my mind that said this is already decided. You're just catching up. The paint was chipped, peeling in slow layers like the house had been forgotten by time itself. I stepped up to the door and knocked sharply. Once. Twice. Silence. Then footsteps. Slow. Careful. Getting closer. The door swung open. An older man stood there, mid-60s, maybe older. His face carried the same structure I'd seen in the archive fragment. Same bone line. Same tired weight in the eyes. He wore shabby clothes that smelled faintly of mothballs and old paper. "Can I help you, son?" he asked, voice sharp but cautious. I paused. This was always the part where things felt normal again. Like I was just a guy at a door instead of someone carrying dead people's memories. "I'm a White Mage," I said. "Federation contractor." His brow tightened slightly. "I was assigned to a cleanse at a nursing home in District 4. That got his attention. I continued. "The soul I cleansed left a message. It asked me to come here." The man didn't move, just stared. "What message?" he said slowly. I swallowed once. He said there's a safe in the basement, behind a workbench. The combination is December 1st, 3985. The moment the numbers left my mouth, something changed in his expression. Stillness, not confusion, recognition. "That's my birthday," he said quietly. Then he stepped aside. "Get in." I entered the house. The air inside was stale, heavy with old wood and dust that had settled into everything it could reach. The door clicked shut behind me. The old man didn't waste time. "Who was it?" he asked as he walked ahead. "Who sent you here?" "I don't know his name," I said. "Nursing home, District 4. He stopped halfway down the hallway. Didn't turn around. "I'm surprised he's still alive," he muttered. I frowned slightly. "You know him?" His hand rested on the wall for balance as he spoke. "My father," he said. "It has to be. I don't know anyone else it could be." A pause. Then, quieter, "My mother's dead. My wife too. My son. And my granddaughter. That's all I have left." We reached the basement door. He opened it. The stairs groaned under his weight as we descended. The basement smelled older than the house itself. Dust, metal, time that had stopped moving. A single bulb flickered to life when he hit the switch. Down here, everything was still. A workbench sat against the far wall, buried under boxes, rusted tools, and forgotten clutter. A woven basket sat nearby, covered in dust so thick it looked like it had been untouched for years. "We got to work clearing it." I moved the boxes aside. One after another, the old man tried to help, but his hands slowed him more than they helped. Eventually, we exposed the back wall. I pushed the workbench aside. It was heavier than it looked, which scraped against concrete. Behind it, a safe. He exhaled sharply. "There really is one." He lowered himself down slowly, knees shaking, and entered the code. 12013985. Click. The lock released. Inside were documents, old photographs. The old man pulled them out carefully, like they might turn to dust in his hands. A younger version of him, a woman beside him, a child in his arms. His fingers slowed. His breathing changed. Then a folder. Bank records. A handwritten note. His eyes scanned it slowly. And then he stopped, completely. His shoulders trembled once. Then again. Tears built, but he didn't let them fall immediately. "I see," he whispered. I didn't speak. I just watched. He stood slowly, like gravity had doubled. "This is for my father," he said, before he lost himself. A shaky breath. He knew he was slipping. He wanted to leave something behind before he forgot everything. His grip tightened on the papers. "There's over 200,000 credits in there." A pause. "My granddaughter needs surgery." His voice cracked on the last word. I stayed quiet. He turned toward me slowly. "You didn't just deliver a message," he said. "You saved her." I didn't know what to say to that. Angel, savior, guardian, words that didn't belong to me. He stepped closer and placed a trembling hand on my shoulder. "I'll never forget you," he said. "You're family now." Something inside me shifted. Not the archive, not the system. Me. A small laugh escaped me before I could stop it. Quiet, unused, foreign. "Yeah," I said. And for the first time since I became a White Mage, it didn't feel completely wrong. The city blurred outside the bus window, a smear of gray concrete and neon advertisements, but my mind was miles away. As the bus rattled along, the lingering emotional residue of the old man's gratitude began to peel away from my consciousness, much like sun-baked paint. In its place, a strange, persistent tickle of intuition remained, the sensation of a word hovering on the tip of the tongue, just out of reach. I retreated inward, letting the hum of the bus's engine anchor me as I slipped into the soul archive. The inner sanctuary was usually a place of order. I expected the clear crystal, the one that tracked the standard ebb and flow of minor cleansings, to be sitting in its customary place. But as my mental projection filled the space, I froze. The space was empty. The clear crystal, the fixture of my daily grind, had vanished. Where did it go? I scanned the void, my internal presence flickering with unease. Then I saw it. Hovering near the central golden crystal, the heart of the archive, was a new, pulsating sphere. It was a golden ball, smaller than the central artifact, orbiting it with a precise, hypnotic rhythm. It felt dense, heavy with a gravity that didn't belong to the room. I reached out, my focus sharpening, desperate to touch the new anomaly. Screech. The bus slammed to a halt, the sudden lurch throwing me against the seat in front of me. The archive shattered like glass, and I was violently shoved back into my own body, gasping for air. We had arrived at the Federation building. I scrambled off the bus, my heart still racing from the internal shock. The Federation building stood before me, a monolith of oppressive, brutalist architecture that seemed designed specifically to drain the spirit. I made my way inside, the fluorescent lights humming in a frequency that always gave me a headache. The queue for the clerk's desk was short but thick with tension. Ahead of me, Josh Williams was mid-rant. Josh and I had started at the Federation at the same time, sweating through the same grueling orientation, but the year had treated us differently. He used to be the guy you'd grab a drink with. Now, his movements were jagged, his eyes constantly darting to corners where nothing existed. "You're not listening," Josh barked, slamming his palm onto the clerk's counter. The resonance signature was wrong. I told them that in the report. If they don't recalibrate the scanners, the next one is going to snap back on me. The clerk, a woman who looked like she hadn't slept in a week, pinched the bridge of her nose. "Josh, please, lower your voice. We can't change the procedure because of a hunch." "It's not a hunch, it's a warning." Josh spun around, his face flushed, and stormed past me. He wasn't looking at anyone. He was arguing with the air, his lips moving in a silent, frantic debate as he shoved his way out the door. I stepped up to the counter. The clerk let out a long, ragged sigh, but she forced a professional smile. She knew me. I was the quiet one, the one who didn't cause scenes. "Just one natural death cleanse?" she asked, her voice weary. "Yes," I said. "District 4. She tapped a few keys. "Total, $58. Federation fee takes 6. You're looking at 52 credits." 52. I felt the familiar bitterness rise in my throat. I watched as she slid my car back to me. Josh was right to be angry. The pay was an insult, a pittance for the piece of your soul you left behind every time you touched the dead. It was no wonder he was going off the deep end. When the work breaks you for pennies, it's hard not to look for ghosts in the wiring. I pocketed the card and stepped out of the building. The midday sun hit my face, harsh and uninviting. I paused on the sidewalk, the notification chime on my wrist reminding me of the reality. Mandatory rest day. The Federation mandated one day off every rotation to maintain stability, But standing there, watching the crowds of people rushing past, it felt less like a gift and more like a sentence. I had no missions to run, no souls to guide, and no distraction from the burning question in my mind. What was that golden sphere in the archive? And why was it hungry for the space where my clear crystal used to be? I had 24 hours to kill, and for the first time since I'd started this job, I didn't want to rest. I wanted answers. I stepped out of the Federation building and stopped. A black Bentley sat parked at the curb. Out of place. Too clean. Too expensive. Too intentional. The rear door opened. The rhythmic clack of heels followed before she even stepped into view. Cynthia. She moved toward me like she owned the street. Tall. Precise. Every inch of her wrapped in a suit tailored so sharply it looked more like armor than clothing. Her blonde hair was pulled into a tight bun, not a single strand out of place, as if even disorder wasn't allowed near her. Even behind her sunglasses, I could feel it. That gaze. Cold, focused, measuring. She stopped in front of me and removed the glasses. Blue eyes, the same as our mother's. They didn't soften when they met mine. They scanned me, taking in the hoodie, the fatigue, the parts of me I didn't bother hiding anymore. Cynthia, I said, what are you doing here? She didn't answer, just looked. The silence stretched a second too long. I exhaled through my nose. If you don't need anything, I'm leaving. It's my day off. Wait. Her voice cut clean through the space between us. Calm, controlled, final. I need your help. I let out a short, humorless breath. My help. I gestured lightly toward myself. What would you need a White Mage for? If it's an echo, report it to the Federation like everyone else. It was reported, she said. No one will take it. That made me pause. What? Her gaze didn't waver. Because it needs to stay quiet, she said. And it's already close to full corruption. A knot formed in my chest. What kind of echo? She hesitated, just long enough for it to matter. Spontaneous combustion. My expression tightened. Yeah, that explained it. One of the worst cases you could get. Violent, unstable, high failure rate. Who is it? I asked. One of our major investors. Of course it was. I let out a quiet breath, shaking my head slightly. And that has what to do with me. I met her eyes. I was disowned, remember? I'm not exactly welcome in your world anymore. Something shifted in her expression. Not anger. Not quite. I argued against that, she said. I didn't respond. I fought him on it, she continued, voice still steady, but tighter now. I would have helped you more, but Father made it clear. If I stepped out of line. She exhaled quietly. You know how that ends. I looked away for a second. You didn't exactly make it easy either, she added. That hit a little closer than I expected. I rubbed the back of my neck. Yeah, well, if he finds out I'm involved in this, it's going to cause problems. It already has. I blinked, looking back at her. I told him I was coming to find you, she said. A pause. If he has a problem with it. Her voice didn't waver. Then he could disown me too. That landed heavier than anything else she'd said. For a moment, neither of us spoke. You're serious, I muttered. I don't have time not to be. Silence again. Then, please, she said. Just one word. But it wasn't calculated this time. That was new. I exhaled slowly. Spontaneous combustion, I repeated under my breath. One of the worst echo types. Volatile, aggressive, unpredictable. Exactly the kind of thing that got White Mages killed. I looked back at her. Fine, I said. I'll take a look. Relief flickered across her face, but it was gone just as quickly as it came. Thank you, she said, already turning back toward the car. We don't have much time. I hesitated for half a second before following. As I stepped toward the Bentley, that same feeling crept back into the edges of my mind. The archive, the golden sphere, waiting for something like this.